So what if your retirement plans were quietly being rewritten but without your consent? In a behind the scenes move, the government is eyeing up a £16 billion boost by scrapping salary sacrifice pension contributions. Now that's going to be a very easy win for the government, but it's going to be a potential disaster for all of our future retirement plans. Now, with pension providers already being contacted and being on high alert, this change could leave both employees and employers facing serious financial consequences. So is your pension going to be at risk? And will the government be making a move for a £16 billion tax grab from all of our pensions? Well, I'm going to be explaining the truth behind the headlines and what it could mean for your future financial security and your retirement plans. Well, welcome back to the Personal Finance Crew. And if this is your first time, a very warm welcome to the Economies channel, where together we're going to be learning the language of money and wealth. We're also dedicated to mastering money and making financial wisdom available to absolutely everybody. Hi, my name is Simon and I'm a chartered financial planner, normally based in the UK, but I'm recording this video just for you in the stunning and the beautiful island of Ibiza. So why don't you follow me back to the studio? I'm going to explain and walk through this subject, which is currently setting the financial planning world alight. And I'll see you in a minute. So the UK government is reportedly eyeing up an additional £16 billion in revenue by targeting salary sacrifice pension contributions. Now the alarm has been raised by a lot of credible sources, including The Telegraph, Citywire magazine, Sir Steve Webb, and he was actually a previous pensions minister, as well as the Institute for Fiscal Studies. Now, if this happens, it's going to have wide-reaching consequences for around 22 million workers in the UK who are currently contributing to their workplace pensions, of which about 9 million are contributing into their pensions via salary sacrifice. So in this video, we're going to explore how salary sacrifice actually works, why the government is looking to abolish it, and what this could mean for both employees and employers. But before we get into this video, I'm going to pop up the usual disclaimer to say that this video is for education and for entertainment purposes only, and it shouldn't be misunderstood or misconstrued as offering financial advice. Now, you know we love a quote on this channel, and here is one from Sun Tzu in his book, The Art of War. So in the midst of chaos, there is also always opportunity. So no matter what happens around salary sacrifice, we're going to help you adjust and to adapt to any of the new changes. So how does salary sacrifice actually work? So some people also use the term salary exchange to describe exactly the same thing. But as I am a bit of an old dinosaur, I'm going to use a term that I'm most familiar with, and that is salary sacrifice. Now this is a popular and a highly tax efficient arrangement where an employee agrees to reduce their salary in exchange for their employer making their pension contributions. Now currently, where an employee is paid a wage, both the employee and the employer pay national insurance. The employee pays 8% and the employer pays 13.8%. But importantly, no national insurance is due on any pension contributions. So the benefits of salary sacrifice therefore are twofold. Both the employee and the employer, both of them save on national insurance contributions. Now let me just walk you through a worked example to show you how valuable salary sacrifice can be. So let's say I've got an employee on £35,000 a year and they pay 5% into their workplace pension and the employer pays 3% into their workplace pension. Have a look at this example on screen. So you can see that before we use salary sacrifice, the employee's salary was £35,000 a year. We have tax of £4,486. We have national insurance of £1,794. We have their pension contribution of £1,400, and therefore their take-home pay is £27,320. But after we apply salary sacrifice, their salary and their wage will be reduced to £33,056. Their income tax will also reduce to £4,097, and their national insurance will also reduce to £1,639. There's no pension contribution, of course, because that's now going to be made by the employer, but the net result is that the take-home pay is still $27,320. So what that means is, despite the salary, the income tax, the national insurance contribution and the pension contribution have all been decreased, his take-home pay remains exactly the same. Now let's have a look at the employer's situation after salary sacrifice has been applied. Well, they're going to be paying a lower salary of £33,000.56. The national insurance is also going to be reduced to £3,306. So the cost of the pension contribution is now £3,129. And put simply, that's because we now have a combined pension contribution from the employee, the employer, and perhaps there's been a refund into the pension of any savings that the employer's made. So what that means is the total cost of the employer is now also reduced to £39,490. Now there can also be a big boost to the employee pension, as some of the employer's national insurance savings can be paid into the workplace pension too, and that could be anything from 0 all the way up to 100% of their savings. So in financial services, that's a very rare win-win outcome. So recent reports in the financial press suggest that the government has already contacted the major pension providers regarding the potential abolition of salary sacrifice for pension contributions. Now, if implemented, the government could rake in an additional £16 billion in national insurance contributions, and that's going to be a substantial sum which could be used to reduce the now infamous black hole in the UK finances. This move would represent a significant shift in how pensions are funded in the UK. Now, whilst this might help the Treasury shore up some short-term financial gaps, the long-term effects could undermine the very ethos of workplace pensions. And that's going to be to encourage people to save for their retirement. The question is, who's going to bear the brunt of any of these changes? But before we delve into these impacts, it's crucial to understand what our national insurance contributions are actually used for. Now, in the UK, national insurance is primarily used to fund state benefits, and they include the National Health Service, our state pensions, maternity pay, unemployment benefits, and disability allowances. Now, the increase in national insurance revenue generated from an end to salary sacrifice contributions is likely to be redirected or redistributed to bolster public services. That could be the NHS or even funding the state pension. But is this the right way to balance the books? And if so, at what cost? So what are the consequences for our workplace pensions? Well, if salary sacrifice for pensions is scrapped, the financial landscape for both employees and employers is going to change dramatically. Now, for employers who currently enjoy substantial national insurance savings, the end of this scheme could lead to a sudden and significant rise in their costs and business overheads. Now, companies may be forced to either absorb these costs themselves or pass them on other ways. And this could be by reducing pension contributions. They could freeze or even slow down pay rises. They could even cut jobs or lower their investment. For employees, the situation is a little bit more complex. I mean, on the surface of it, it appears that workers might not feel an immediate pinch to their take-home pay. So, however, with the potential increase in employer costs, there's a high probability that businesses are going to need to adjust their workplace benefits to compensate for these higher costs. So what could this look like in practice? Well, let's go back to our example of the worker earning £35,000 a year, currently contributing to their pension via salary sacrifice. Now, under the existing system, they will benefit from national insurance savings on this pension contribution amount. So if the government scraps salary sacrifice, these savings would become subject to full national insurance. So whilst it's the employer's responsibility to pay the increased national insurance on any pension contribution, there's a strong likelihood that businesses are going to pass these costs onto the employees directly or perhaps indirectly. Now, this could be by offering reduced pension benefits maybe, or even holding back on pay rises to offset these additional costs. So ultimately, whilst the employee might not see a direct hit to their pay packet, they'll likely experience reduced pension savings and a slower rate of salary growth, or even fewer investment or employment perks. So the overall attractiveness of workplace pensions could also fall, particularly for those on lower to middle incomes. So if you're finding value in this video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We've now broken through the 5,000 subscriber milestone. So by subscribing, you're going to help the channel reach more and more people, and we can grow this personal finance community together. We also publish weekly videos on a Saturday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so please hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of this valuable content. So now, if you wouldn't mind, turn your device on its side so you can settle in to see the second half of the video. So who's going to be worse off, the employer or the employee? Well, it's difficult to predict this with any certainty, but both parties are likely to feel a lot of financial strain. Employers will be hit directly with the increased national insurance cost on pension contributions, and for larger corporations, this is going to involve millions and millions of pounds in extra costs annually. Now, while some employers are obviously going to be able to absorb some of this additional financial costs, smaller businesses are likely to struggle. Now, employees may face less immediate financial pressure, but the long-term impact on their pension savings could be profound. Without the tax advantages of salary sacrifice, fewer employees may feel incentivized to contribute to their pensions at the current levels, leaving them with smaller pension pots in the future. This would ultimately accelerate the already significant retirement savings crisis, where millions of people are expected to fall short of comfortable retirement incomes. So we're talking about 9 million people here with either slower pay rises, less company perks, and lower pension funds in the future, with a lower standard of living in retirement. Just let that sink in for a minute. So overall, is there a better solution? Now, whilst the potential £16 billion windfall is going to be enticing to the government looking for their low-hanging fruit, the risk that dismantling the salary sacrifice system could lead to unintended consequences, such as much lower workplace pensions, less employee engagement in saving for their retirement, and there's obviously going to be an increased strain on public resources in the future as more people reach retirement age without adequate savings and need to depend on the state for help. Now, the easy option, of course, is to limit salary sacrifice benefits for higher rate taxpayers. Now, another solution could be to limit the amount of pension contributions eligible for salary sacrifice, or perhaps even a new lower rate of national insurance paid on employers' pension contributions may be applicable. Now, that may not be as severe financially for the companies, but it will still generate important revenue for the Treasury and for the government. So in conclusion, the potential abolition of salary sacrifice for pension contributions represents a significant risk to the future of workplace pensions in the UK. And while the Treasury might see short-term gains in national insurance revenue, the long-term damage to our retirement savings and the financial well-being of millions of workers could far outweigh the benefits. So both employees and employers should brace themselves for a potential shift in how pensions are funded and taxed in the UK. In the end, it's not just about raising £16 billion, it's about securing the future of our retirement savings for generations to come. And the government needs to think very carefully and consider whether dismantling this critical system is worth the price. Now, we'll see what happens on the 30th of October, of course, but in the meantime, I've recommended these two videos here in this series about how the other pension benefits could be affected in the budget. I've also recommended another video about what you should consider when selecting your workplace pension, including Nest. So thank you so much for watching to the very end of the video, and for your time and for your patience as always. I'll see you all again next week.